Good morning and welcome to LNG Marketplace News Flash. Here's the latest news we have selected for you from all over the media. This week's breaking news. After a hostile bid, Anadarko has signed Occidental's offer and Chevron walked away with a $1 billion breakup fee. Upon completing the purchase, Occidental will sell Anadarko's African assets to Total. Recently, Occidental's jet has visited The Hague, where the headquarters of Shell is located, which has raised fresh speculations as we read on CNBC. Energy trader Trafigura has called for S&P Global Platts to set up a price index for LNG cargoes to Europe, similar to the Japan-Korea marker LNG price assessment for spot trades in Northeast Asia. Platts' JKM benchmark price assessment was established in June 2018. You can read the full story on S&P Global Platts. On the same website, we read that Centrica has loaded its first contracted LNG swap cargo from Dominion's Cove Point. Just a reminder, swap trades stabilize trade flows by allowing buyers to reduce shipping and logistic costs. In a typical case, a buyer will swap LNG cargo produced in one part of the world with LNG sourced from a location that is closer to the destination. The US is fertile ground for swap arrangements because of the destination flexibility in long-term contracts. Mercuria Energy Group is building an LNG trading desk. Initially focused on oil, Mercuria has been progressively diversifying into other commodities as stated on Finance Yahoo. In light of the increased LNG shipping demand, GasLog has undertaken an aggressive new build program that includes 8 LNG carriers. The largest one is GasLog Warsaw, that although has a fixed charter with Endesa, it will be available to other customers prior to the start of the term charter. Also, Knutsen expands its LNG fleet. Both pieces of news we found on LNG World Shipping. Although LNG transportation is presently and most probably the most lucrative business in LNG value chain, in spot market, LNG shipping rates are currently under pressure. It is not just for seasonal reasons, but also because of delays in LNG liquefaction projects. While new projects will eventually absorb LNG vessels, there is a temporary mismatch in the market. The entire analysis full of numbers and details can be read on FreightWaves. Since July 2018, cumulative EU LNG imports from the US have increased by 272%. European gas imports are still projected to even double in the next 5 years after the US Secretary of Energy, Rick Perry, has signed a new export orders, according to European Commission press release. Poland has decided to install a floating LNG receiving terminal, in addition to expanding its current onshore LNG plant. The 2 terminals would make Poland a top European LNG importer and would give the country more than enough capacity to import all its gas needs from sources other than Russia, as we read on Energy World. The new LNG export terminal, Golden Pass, is one of the lowest cost opportunities for new large-scale liquefaction capacities anywhere in the world on a dollars per ton basis. This is because it was initially built as an import terminal prior to the shale gas revolution. The repurposing of the existing facilities gives it a brownfield advantage. This piece of news we found on LNG World Shipping. And another hot topic, LNG bunkering. Avenir LNG aims to establish an integrated value chain for LNG as fuel. So far, the company has achieved in having 2 LNG ship owners, Golar and Hug, on board. You can read more about their innovative business models on Hellenic Shipping News. And a few other headlines. Pavilion Energy has performed the first commercial ship-to-ship LNG refueling operation in the port of Singapore, as we read on channelnewsasia.com. On Hellenic Shipping News, we found that Qatar has lowered LNG prices in a bid to win a multi-billion supply contract to Pakistan amid stiff competition with Saudi Arabia. And finally, 2 startups of the LNG terminals. Sempra's Cameron LNG and Gibraltar's new LNG terminal built by Shell and Gasnor. Those pieces of news we found on S&P Global Platts. Last but not least, Finance Yahoo tells us that Flex LNG has applied for a direct public listing on the New York Stock Exchange. That's it for this week. Tune in next week for more news, and until then, thanks for tuning in. If you do not want to miss any of our podcast episodes of the weekly News Flash, remember to subscribe via our website or directly to our channels, including YouTube, iTunes, Android, Podcast, RSS, and SoundCloud.